This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and NIL Game Changers. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Purdy Insurance, Brewers Outlet, and Sunbury Motor Company. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Opening half hour brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, best in new inventory, great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. Terrific service department that backs it up every step of the way. Whether it happens to be quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, they handle it all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, online, sunburymotors.com. Well, a lot of different places to start. But I'm going to start home first, then I'll get to the Eagles in a moment. I mean, quite simply, I'll say this quite simply about the Eagles. What's the biggest difference between the Eagles beating Washington and Washington beating Detroit? Simple.
0 turnovers and 3 turnovers.
Exactly. Because, to be honest with you, Detroit's offensive numbers actually were better against Washington than Philadelphia's. I know it's hard to believe, but Detroit had over 500 yards in the game. But they kept fouling up, right? I mean, they couldn't stop them. But some of those drives were short drives by Washington. It was all about the turnovers. And the Eagles have played excellent giveaway, takeaway football this entire playoff run. And Jalen Hurts played his best game of the season yesterday. I was impressed by how he played. So we're going to get to the Eagles in a moment. And then, of course, I guess Matt's on tomorrow?
Correct.
Yeah, that'll be a trip, right? He represents the fan base. All right. Okay. We'll have a little fun with him. I have a stat that's going to throw him a little curveball. All right. So, Jim Knowles. As I said on Friday, if I were in your shoes as a fan, you wouldn't want me to say something. Okay? And I said, but if you were in my shoes, you know when not to say something. So I frustrated you, and I said nothing. Now, I'll freely admit I texted Jack last week what the deal was. But we work together. But if you want to, Penn State is showing everybody across the board that they want to be elite. So when they sit there and they talk about being elite, they have the ability with roster retention to keep the guys coming back, such as Denai Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant, Zakee Wheatley, Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, Drew Aller, the entire offensive line with the exception of Sal Wormley, who has just finished his 6th year. And then this move with Jim Knowles. You know, they decided, James Franklin made the decision. He said, I have a football program that is going for it. You have an athletic director who feels exactly the same way. You have a university president that feels exactly the same way. And they know that they have an excellent program, and whatever they can do to make it better, because the job was open, they went after what they perceived to be the best. And Jim Knowles, in any conversation when it comes to defensive coordinators, his name is always in the discussion to be among the best. And now he's at Penn State. Now you got to go out, keep working. But it's the type of hire that makes a statement to people about your program, who you are, what you desire to be. And when you make a hire like that, you make that statement. Now you have to go out and prove it and go from there. There's always a lot of factors that happen during the course of any season along the way. But they hired somebody with an absolute proven track record of excellence. And now you start taking the next steps. This is where you're fortunate. Where, for example, let's take Andy Koltanicki. Andy Koltanicki comes in, right, a year ago, and they already have Danny O'Brien. That really helps. Jim Knowles comes in, for example. He already has Dan Connor there at a position. To go with Anthony Poindexter, Deion Barnes, Terry Smith. I mean, he's got a lot of critical pieces in place on that coaching staff. And not only that, he has a we coaching staff and not a me coaching staff. In other words, you talk to Terry Smith, and Terry Smith talks about his corners, right? And he talks about his corners in the context of the entire defense, right? When I talk to Anthony Poindexter about the safeties, he talks about the safeties in the context of the entire defense. Dan Connor, the linebackers in the context of the entire defense and where they fit. Deion Barnes, in the context of the entire defense and where they fit. It is not a me coaching staff. It's a we coaching staff. And that makes a big difference to any head coach, and it makes a big difference to any coordinator, that you have that kind of excellence and attitude on the staff. So that's where they are. And to get a Jim Knowles is one of those, right, off-season statement moments where, okay, quote, you have an opening. And look at the excellence of the defensive coordinator position. Tom Bradley did a tremendous job. Okay? He did a tremendous job at Penn State. Bob Shoop did a great job. Brent Pry did a great job. Manny Diaz did a great job. Tom Allen did a great job as well. But the job was open, because Tom took the Clemson job. Well, James Franklin, to his credit, looked around and said, all right, who's the best? And they went for it. And guess what? He got him. And we're used to excellence on defense on that defensive side. Right? I mean, we're used to that. By the way, Ted did a great job. That one season he was here, too, with Bill O'Brien. Ted did a great job. But we're used to that at Penn State. Excellence on defense and coordinators who are able to take that talent and get the best out of it. Well, Jim Knowles is that. It makes a statement to everybody about what you think about your program. It makes a statement to everybody about what you want to be with your program. You want to be an elite program, you make an elite hire. They made an elite hire last year in Andy Koltanicki. They make Justin Lustig, special teams. Now they make an elite hire with Jim Knowles. And to me, that's where it is. And it makes a big difference. Right? And I think that when you look at everything he's accomplished. Now, Jimmy Martelli's been kidding me for the last couple of days about, right? I mean, come on. He's got to be great. He's a St. Joe's prep guy because Jimmy's a St. Joe's prep guy. All right? But you're talking about a guy that's been a head coach, defensive coordinator, Western Michigan, Duke, Oklahoma State, Ohio State. And he had great talent to work with there, but he got the best out of it. And that's what you're looking for. A guy that gets the most out of it and gets you stops. Right? Every time a defensive coordinator is hired, you know what my standard's always been, right? Right? And I've talked about it many times. When you hire a new defensive coordinator, can you get me one more stop each half? Think about the season. If you get one more stop each half in those 3 games, you win the national championship. Right?
Plus, you get to pick his brain about what the heck happened to the goal line in November.
I think I'm going to stay away from that.
I didn't mean you, but
that's up to Andy to talk to him about that. All right, that's up to Andy and James to talk to him about that. But in other words, if I hire an offensive coordinator, I'm trying to figure out a way to get one more score each half. If I'm hiring a new defensive coordinator, I want him to come in and figure out how to get me one more stop each half. In other words, you don't have to be perfect, but find me that extra stop in each half. If you get one more stop in each half against Ohio State, you win. You get one more stop each half against Oregon, you win. One more stop each half against Notre Dame, you win. Right? That's what you're looking for. Right? Somebody who has that ability. Jim Knowles has that ability. Jim Knowles has the ability to find you one more stop in each half. He does a great job of looking at personnel, working with his coaches. See, it's not just the coach's ability to work with him. He works with the coaches. You can look at Terry Smith and say, Terry, who do you want out there? You can look at Dion and say, hey, who do you want out there? He can look at Dex and say, who do you want out there? Dan, who do you want out there? Right? There's a try. He trusts the assistants. The assistants trust him. Right? This has always been a great we staff to work with. It's not a me staff. My players, my guys, No, it's about everybody. It's about everybody. And that makes a big difference on a staff when you have a coaching staff. Now, the players, obviously, of course, make the difference every time. You have to have the talent to work with. But when you have a staff that wants to work together, right? And they've had to make adjustments now. Terry, Dex, Dion, they've gone from working with Manny to working with Tom to working with, they've had to adjust to different coordinator styles, and they've been doing it. That's because they're we people, not me people. And that makes a big difference. Same thing on offense. You got we people, not me people. And when you have me people, you have a problem, right? But see, Jim is going on a staff that has a we attitude because he's a coordinator that has a we attitude. Right? You got a head coach who has a we attitude, and that makes a big difference. But that's why when James talks about building family, it's because he talks about the we part of it. Right? When they were going through the playoff, what did he say over and over again, despite what people would bring up to him? No matter what they brought up to him, he says, hey, look, I want these players, to win these games for them. I mean, I don't know if people listen to that part. Sometimes I'm not so sure, how much people listen to things. I think there are certain assumptions that are made, right? But that's what he kept talking about. He said, "I want this for them." Well, that's a family. That's a we coach. Okay, now you got to go out and get it done. But he's got the staff to get it done. That's for sure. And this was one of those, it's a home run hire, it's a grand slam hire. This is an elite hire. Okay, this is where you look around everybody and say, you know what? I think this guy is one of the best in the business, and I need to have him on my staff. And then your athletic director feels the same way, and your president feels the same way. Plus, Todd wants to pick his brain about certain plays.
I think it's really interesting as well about what's kind of what is going on and what is rumored to be going on out in Columbus between the people trying to poach Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Lake and them not willing to pay Knowles his money, and I just wonder if we got our national title this season, maybe we save a little bit this year.
I will do a good job of staying out of that.
Yes,
because it's really none of my business. Penn State's my business, and I'm thrilled that he's there. In fact, Jack and I talked about. I think Jack and I talked. I want to say 45 minutes ago. Jack and I talked for 45 minutes ago. I'd sent him a text last week about what I knew what was going on. I know that's not what the audience wanted to hear because, again, I completely get as an audience what you want me to tell you. I get it. I'm just not in that position to do it. It's one of the important things about the job is the loyalty aspect. And, it's Las Vegas. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So I think the guy I want to give a lot of credit to in terms of working this story is Nate Bauer. Nate Bauer did a great job working this story. So, but, that's I know. Wait, what day did we have Nate on? Thursday? Friday?
No, I think it was. Maybe I think it was Wednesday actually.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
All right. In other words, it's one of those I tried to ask questions so he could answer them the way he needed to answer them, but I knew he was on the right track. How about that? Yeah.
I feel like I've done this show long enough that when you were saying that Friday, I got the impression that something was coming soon. Usually when you preach patience, that means something's up.
Yeah.
Something's coming soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I didn't say what.
No.
Because again, I put myself in the shoes of the audience. I understand what the audience wants me to say. I do. I just hope members of the audience can put themselves into my shoes and understand what I can't say. How about that?
And if you listen long enough, you knew something was coming this weekend.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, that and you guys were away, so that always helps too.
Yeah, I'm still away. I'm in Ann Arbor right now. This has been like we kind of felt like we're in the NBA. It's like it's Friday night's game, which was another just gut wrencher. Right, and then you get on the plane Saturday, you fly in here and practice here, and then they're going to play tonight at 6:30. We're on at 6. But yeah,
be home at 2 this morning.
No. This is a fast flight.
Oh, I guess it is.
No, this is like a 50-minute flight. So I wouldn't doubt that we're back home between 11:30 and midnight. Because, I mean, you got to go out to the airport. You got to go through security, things like that. Now, we're flying out of a charter airport, Ypsilanti, but, yeah. All right. Just for that, because I have praised him. I wonder if I should text Mr. Bauer and see if he'll join us. How about that?
All right.
How about
well, Frank's coming on at Bodani's at 2:35. So
yeah, that's fine.
All right.
I just thought I'd throw it out there. You know, I mean, it's he can. Let's see, Nate Bauer.
Does he? He doesn't travel with you guys, does he?
No.
Why? I mean, they don't travel for basketball, do they?
No, nobody does. No, it's just us out here. We watched. Okay, Girardi wanted to watch the Eagles game in his own room. Okay. Then we watched the Chiefs and the Bills and Buffalo Wild Wings.
What does that say about your Super Bowl plans if Dick has to be alone to watch the Eagles?
Okay, we actually are going to watch the game.
Oh.
Okay, but guess where we're going to watch it? In a box at Santa Anita.
Ah. You have a tough life sometimes.
I mean, now, he looks at me and he says, it's too bad the game isn't in L.A. I might be able to call somebody. And I said, if the game were in L.A., I can guarantee you would get in. He says, what? That's because of Tony. Right? Tony's going to New Orleans. Tony and I are going to Tony Knopp and I are going to break bread on probably Tuesday before the USC game. But if the game were in L.A., I could call Tony, would be in. He goes, darn it. I said, well, sorry, Dick.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Do you want to be part of something great? StaffQuest is hiring for temporary staffing for second and third shift nurses for Selinsgrove, Lewisburg, and Williamsport. Contact us today at 570-933-7675, online at staffquestservices.com, or in person at 35 Kelly Square, Lewisburg. Opportunities await you at StaffQuest, an equal opportunity employer.
Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
This half hour brought to you by Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. Auto, home, life, business, boat, motorcycle, RV. As we've pointed out many times, a multitude of insurance needs. So you need to have it organized. You need to be taken care of. You need to make sure you're fully insured. But you also need a group that cares so much about you that they try to save you money. And that's what you're hoping for all the time at Purdy Insurance, because they do that. The customer service means everything to them at Purdy Insurance, Market Street in Sunbury. Go to purdyinsurance.com. All right, so we talked about Jim Knowles. I mean, if you want to call about it, great. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it because it's just one of those major league hires that you're aching for. If it's your team, your program, you're aching to make that kind of hire, which they have done. Now, let's get to the Eagles now. It was interesting seeing, Dick showed me the video, Girardi showed me the video of Broad Street last night. Man, are the fans juiced up about this team, which is really great. I think that's incredible how excited the fans are. And yesterday, 7 rushing touchdowns. And it's the best game Jalen Hurts has played all season. I thought Hurts played really, really well yesterday. Picked the right spots to run. Dropped that ball, especially the one he threw to A.J. Brown, right in the bucket. It was just a beautiful throw. And I thought that's the best game he's played all year. Defensively, they played really well. Getting Mitchell back is such a plus at that corner. I mean, Darius Slay tells everybody he's a great player, right? When in reality, he's probably a good player, not a great player. Mitchell doesn't say anything and is a great player. This is why let's give Howie Roseman his due here. 5 major moves, 2 of which really go to him. 3 of them only partially to him, and I'll explain why. Because it's not as it's a little more to it than just how he did this and how he did that. No, okay, there's a little more to it. The 5 primary moves that they made were to draft Mitchell, draft DeGene, sign Saquon, get Big Fangio, and get Zach Bond. Okay? Those were 5 major moves. So let's get to the 5 major moves. Okay? Signing Saquon. Oh, Howie, no. That's an organizational decision. All right? Remember, you got to turn the clock back and put yourself in the shoes of what's going on in the moment and not in retrospect. So let's get to Saquon. He leaves the Giants. You're not sure what's going to happen with him in terms of offers from the Giants. But he's also a running back. All right, so what's the market for a running back? So let's now get to what they did as an organization. They did not care what the market was for a running back. They, as an organization, knew they had to get Saquon Barkley. So Jeffrey Lurie has to tell him, hey, look, you pay what it takes to get him. Because Saquon got a 3-year deal. It was like $37 million. Everybody's like, wow. I mean, because I even said to him in May, I said, hey, you did a great job of beating the system. I told him that. And, I mean, think about that. I mean, right, Todd? I mean, the running – it's one thing, oh, look what Howie did. No, that was an organizational decision. You have to have people at the top say to the general manager, you do what it takes to sign him. I don't care what the market happens to say about a running back.
Well, I was going to say I can remember Dave Spadaro saying it, and I'm pretty sure somebody else did when they signed him when we had him on, that they were pretty surprised that they put that kind of money into the position, because that just wasn't how they thought organizationally for the last 5-8 years. So I mean, it was a great decision by them. I had to laugh. Did you see they lit up the Empire State Building in Eagles colors last night?
Right.
Can you imagine being a Giants fan and looking out your window and seeing that?
Yeah, but you earned it.
Yeah, true.
You earned it. So that's one. That's an organizational decision. You do not, if you're Howie Roseman, you don't go out there and go, hey, $37 million over 3 years, blah, 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 and do it on your own. You don't. That is at the top saying, hey, you tell me what it takes.
I think.
By the way, Nate Bauer is going to join us at 2:05. By the way,
I will give him a ring then. I still can't believe that the Giants kept their decision-making ability. I feel like this whole decision-making process was just just awful for them between picking Daniel Jones basically and letting Saquon hit the market. Now I realize that their line wasn't as good and he had a little more problems there, but
again, Baltimore and Philadelphia said, I need value at the running back position, and both did it. Okay? And those two guys, Henry and Barkley, combined for over 4,000 yards rushing. Next. Okay? Let's get to the next one. Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio's another one where, look, to their credit, we just talked about Jim Knowles. Vic Fangio was one of those, hey, look, our defense did this, this, and this. All right? I need a pro's pro. They hired Vic Fangio. Smart. And he's a pro's pro everywhere he's gone. He may not be, maybe he's not the head coach, but you put him on one side of the ball, defense, pretty darn good. All right. Okay, next. Okay, so you get those two there. Zach Bond, that is absolutely a Howie move and should get all the credit in the world. He took a guy that's a good role player and he said, I need a guy that fits what, quote, we're going to do. And he identified him and he signed him. That's a great move by Howie Roseman. Great move. Quinyon Mitchell. Like, oh, Howie did nothing. Okay? He sat in the same spot, never traded up, down, whatever, because based on how the draft was going, he fell to him. All right? I mean, sometimes doing nothing's a good move. But it's not like Howie maneuvered himself into getting Quinyon Mitchell. Everybody else maneuvered themselves away from Quinyon Mitchell because he had other needs. Okay. Cooper DeJean gets a lot of credit for. That's identifying the right guy, right time, and how he can help in multiple ways. Yesterday's game is quite simple. It comes down to turnovers. Detroit ran up and down against this team a week ago. I mean, Detroit had more yards against Washington than the Eagles did. They had over 500 yards in that game. You know that? But they had the turnovers. The Eagles have done a brilliant job of taking care of the football. Your coach still mystifies me. I got to admit. I go back, and this is what I was talking with Dave Spadero, because there was one additional point I did make to Dave last week. You know, about we're going back to the Rams game about, like, not using a timeout. Like, you want to know why you use a timeout as the Rams are driving? Do you want to know why? There's two reasons why. So we'll have a little fun here with Todd. What are the two reasons?
Rest your defenders.
Yep, that's absolutely one of them.
And to figure out what the heck they're doing.
No, actually, it's a little more. It's actually a little more forward than that. All right, you have to think in your mind. Okay, because if the Rams score a touchdown, they take the lead. By calling a timeout there, I do exactly what you said. My defense needs to rest. And number two, I'm looking at the clock saying, hey, you know what? I may need some time to win the game myself. Like, that's why I'm sitting there like going, what's he doing? I'm just going to let the clock run out with Matthew Stafford out there? Now, it worked out great. Okay, they won the game. But that's Matthew Stafford has just sliced and diced you for a touchdown. He is slicing and dicing you again. You look tired. And he's standing on the sideline going, I think we can just run the clock out. No, you can't. Okay, you can't think that way. You've got to think to yourself, okay, what are all the scenarios here? I've got a tired defense. They need a timeout. I also may need time at the end of this to win it for my team. You do either one. Like, okay. Then yesterday, they score a touchdown. And by the way, there were two calls in that game that the Eagles caught. One was Devontae Smith was out of bounds on one of the catches. Okay? I mean, he was out. That toe tapper on the sideline, he was actually out of bounds. Okay, I think it was his left foot. Okay, but it's fine. I mean, the Eagles rolled over this team. So the call doesn't make diddly. It doesn't matter. All right. But they score the touchdown, and then they get away with one because A.J. Brown took his hand and shoved it right up into his face mask. It should have been on him.
I disagree. That the first shot was by Sandstro or by Lattimore.
Yeah,
if you watch it, AJ's helmet starts to come off before his is even moved.
Well, then it's got to be. Then either way, it's
got to be. It's got to be offsetting.
It's got to be offsetting, and you don't put it there because there's no question A.J. Brown commits a penalty there. I mean, there's no question he commits a penalty.
It's at the least illegal hands to the face.
Right. I mean, but they get away with it and they move the ball to the 1. I'm sitting there like going, what are you doing? Kick the extra point. You want to know why? If I kick the extra point, it's 9. Okay, I don't know how the game's going to play out, but why do I need to get to 10? If I go to 9, where am I? I'm at a 2-possession game. Nope, he's going to go for it and go for 2. Okay, missed it. It's now still a 1-possession game. Like, what? Like, he does stuff like everybody talks about analytics. I just explained to you in analytics why you go for the extra point, because now with the extra point, which is a 96% chance of making it versus a 50% chance of making it, I've made it a 2-possession game.
It is Jake Elliott this year.
I understand, but guess what? It's a 96% chance of making it versus 54%. Right? And the 96% makes it a 2-possession game. It makes it 9. You're aching to get it to 9. And he goes for 2 there. I'm like, going, what in the heck? And the same thing, in some ways, Sean McDermott in the Chiefs-Bills game. Like, guess what? I mean, like, he kicks the 2 extra points, and it's a 1-point game, and you're driving for the field goal. You may play it differently at the end. So the Bills-Chiefs game, I've advocated for a long time there should be, okay, all these players are chipped, okay? They have in the catapult system, it's a vest, and you can sit there and you can check heart rate, all sorts of things that you can check from the catapult system on players. And data that you can use, great data. Okay? Why can't you chip the football and at both ends and then use the laser system on the sideline to go with it for first downs? You watch the mark of that ball in the Josh Allen play. The guy from the far side has it at a first down. The guy in the near side, who ends up winning the argument, has him a couple inches short.
I might have challenged the previous play. I thought it was Kincaid, wasn't it? I thought Kincaid got the first down. Yeah. I thought he was closer than Josh Allen was on the sneak.
The only thing about Allen, I will say, on his sneak is when he turned his back. When he turned his back, right, the ball is now on the side that's, right, I thought he made it. And then give Spagnuolo credit. Spagnuolo goes out and just says, the hell with it. I'm sending everybody. They sent that blitz, and Kincaid almost made that catch. It was a phenomenal play by Allen just to get it down there. All right? And then at the end, what does Andy Reid do at the end? Right? He goes out. Most people are like, just run the ball, take the knee, run the ball. Nope, throws the ball to Pacheco. Now, Pacheco does go out of bounds. Okay, that didn't help. But then in the last play, the third down play, Perine's hardly in the game. Right? I don't remember Pirine being in the game any other time except special teams. Do you?
No.
Right? And he throws it out there to him like he's been out there all day. And again, same thing. Right? Buffalo is completely like, oh, where is the guy? Because they're thinking what the crowd's thinking. They're thinking what the people at home are thinking. Dick and I are over there saying, throw the ball. Right? Throw the ball. It's the same play they ran to Pacheco, just to the other side to Pirine. I mean, that's what winners do. Winners go out and go, you know what? This is how we win the game. We're going to do it. Okay? Because if I don't make it on third down running the ball, I'm going to have to punt. Well, guess what? My best shot to do is to run this play with the ball in the hands of Patrick Mahomes. Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator. And look, and Mahomes Mahomes is going to have to be real. The Eagles will easily be the best defense Mahomes has seen all season. Easily. Okay? Conversely, I think the Chiefs' defense will be the best defense that the Eagles have seen all season. But the difference is that the Chiefs have not faced anybody like Saquon Barkley yet. Barkley has been fill in the blank. You use your own words. Right? I mean, really, all of you, fill in the blank. Okay. He is, when the Eagles take the field against the Chiefs, 9 times out of 10, you're going to say Patrick Mahomes is the best player in the field, right? Well, guess what? This will be a game where Patrick Mahomes will not be the best player in the field. Saquon Barkley will be the best player in the field.
I don't have an argument for that one.
No, I don't think anybody does. He's the best player on the field. In every game. I mean, the first run yesterday is ridiculous. And that's Washington got me yesterday. First drive, fourth down. Right? They got 4th and 3. I'm like going, go for it. They run the kicker out. I'm like going, this is a game you're not going to win with field goals. And okay. And I was like, I thought there was for sure they're going to go for it. Nope, they kicked it. And then Barkley, one play, 60 yards. I'm going, okay, we're done. It's ridiculous. Watching him play. Right? Am I used to it? Of course I am. Okay. If anybody knows, I mean, I call every carry of his career here. But he'll be the best player in the field. Not Mahomes. It's going to be quite a game. Quite a game. All right, Nate Bauer, next half hour. We'll talk with him about the hiring of Jim Knowles. He stayed on top of it the entire time. And we've got 2 weeks to talk about the Eagles. Now, tomorrow, we're going to get a totally unrealistic viewpoint from Matt, but that's okay. I always find it entertaining. What do you think?
That's one word for it.
Right. I mean, how realistic do you expect him to be tomorrow?
Not very.
No. It's going to be highly entertaining. Now, may I say a couple of things that just kind of poke the bear just for entertainment purposes? Of course. Of course. That's why I always laugh when people take me seriously about this stuff. I'm like, oh, guys, I'm over here just trying to have a little bit of fun. Right? Because the show's supposed to be fun. It's sports. Right? But I think you're going to get a kick out of what I do with him at the beginning of tomorrow. All right. We'll come back. More in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
There's something to be said about a sale with a handshake, a service technician who really knows what he's doing. They can explain it in English what the problem is. There's nothing better than having that friend you could trust in the area. That's Sunbury Motors, where you get selection, knowledgeable salespeople, and prices that fit your budget, and more important, that friend you can trust. Welcome to Sunbury Motors, Kia, Ford, and Hyundai. You can shop other dealers and compare prices, but at Sunbury Motors, you get their lowest price promise. They research the current used vehicle market confident and guarantee their used car prices are the lowest. If you find a lower price, Sunbury Motors will beat it. 3 dealers all in one. See their full new and pre-owned inventory at sunburymotors.com. Pick out a vehicle you like and schedule your test drive online. Follow them on Facebook. Sunbury Motors Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf.